The night before my wedding, I thought I'd be alone, nervous, restless, maybe writing vows. Instead, 3 men knocked on my door, and my fiancé sent them. I said yes, and I never once looked back. If you've been here before and you enjoy these stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support the channel and helps us keep going. And if you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy this one and come back for more. Now let's begin. I was lying in bed, the soft sheets cool against my skin, but the hotel room felt eerily empty. The soft glow of the bedside lamp cast long shadows across the walls, and despite the flurry of activity earlier in the day, the room felt silent. Everything for tomorrow was already in place. The dress hanging perfectly on the door, gleaming white as it awaited its moment. The rings resting in their velvet boxes, a symbol of promises yet to be made. The vows written in my own hand, sitting on the nightstand beside me. Yet, despite all the preparations, a sense of unease lingered, and I couldn't bring myself to sleep. Tomorrow, I would be walking down the aisle, my heart full as I said "I do" to the man I loved more than anything. I'd always imagined this day would feel like a fairy tale, but here I was, wide awake in the quiet of the night, my mind racing. The weight of it all was suddenly too much to ignore. In the back of my mind, his voice kept echoing clear as day. "Don't worry, we won't be a boring couple." I remembered laughing when he said it, his mischievous smile making me believe it was just another one of his playful jokes. But now, staring at the ceiling in the dark, the uncertainty began to creep in. Could we really keep that spark alive forever? Could we hold on to that excitement, that wild energy, as the years passed by? Before him, my life had been filled with the electric buzz of adventure. Wild nights out with friends, spontaneous trips, the kind of freedom that made everything feel unpredictable. There was an intoxicating thrill in those moments, a constant rush of novelty and excitement that had shaped who I was. But now, as the wedding loomed closer, it felt like I was standing on the edge of something big, something irreversible, a step I couldn't take back. Was I really ready to leave that old life behind? Could I truly embrace this new chapter, this new version of myself, without feeling like I was sacrificing something important? There was no turning back now, and as much as I loved him, I couldn't help but wonder if I was giving up something that had been so deeply ingrained in me. The uncertainty swirled around me like a storm, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Forever. A sharp knock at the door startled me, pulling me from the whirlwind of thoughts that had been swirling in my mind. Without thinking, I rose from the bed and walked toward it. My heart fluttered, the quiet hum of the room amplifying every step I took. I opened the door, the cool air of the hallway spilling into the room, but my breath caught when I saw who was standing there. 3 men. The first man stood in front, his arms covered in a full sleeve of tattoos, dark ink twisting around his muscular forearms. The second man to his right was older, with streaks of gray in his beard. His eyes were sharp, cold, and steady, not a flicker of emotion in them as he looked me over. The third man was imposing, tall, broad-shouldered, his presence so massive that the light from the hallway seemed to shrink as he blocked the doorway. They stood there, silent, their eyes fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin prickle. None of them spoke. There was a quiet tension hanging in the air, the kind you could feel in your chest, but still they remained wordless. Finally, the man in front reached into his jacket pocket and handed me a small envelope. The paper was thick and heavy, the kind that felt important in your hands. I didn't even have to look at the name. His handwriting was unmistakable. My fingers trembled slightly as I opened the envelope, pulling out the note inside. The words were short but purposeful, each one heavy with meaning. I read it aloud, barely able to believe what I was seeing. "You said you were scared of a boring life. Let this be your answer. Have fun tonight. I'll see you at the altar. Your almost husband. We're here for you." The simplicity of the message struck me harder than any of the words. It was calm, certain, as if every word had been carefully chosen. As if he had already made all the arrangements, as if everything was already decided. I could hear his voice in my head as I read it. He knew exactly what to say, How to make me feel like this was inevitable, like I was being guided into something I couldn't escape. I didn't ask what he meant. Deep down, I already knew. It wasn't just a simple note. It was a statement, promise, challenge. I stepped aside instinctively, letting them in without a word. They moved like shadows, silent, purposeful. No glances exchanged between them. Just the soft sound of shoes pressing into the carpet, their footsteps as steady as their presence. The room felt smaller as they entered, the weight of their silence filling every inch of the space. I closed the door behind them, the soft click of the latch echoing louder than it should. It felt final, like a chapter being closed with no way to turn back. My heart skipped a beat as I stood there, still holding the note in my hand. I turned it over, hoping for something more, some kind of instruction, something that would tell me exactly what I was supposed to do. But there was nothing. Only the feeling that something had begun, something I was already a part of, and now there was no going back. I couldn't help but wonder what tonight would bring, or how it would change everything. I turned back toward them, the breath I hadn't realized I was holding coming out in a sharp exhale. My heart was racing, but I didn't let it show. "So, are you guys local or did he fly you in?" I asked, trying to break the tension to steady myself. The older man, his expression unreadable, met my gaze with eyes that seemed to see straight through me. His voice was calm, unhurried, like it had been said 1,000 times before. "You don't need to make conversation," he said. His tone dismissive yet strangely comforting. I let out a quiet laugh, more nervous than anything else. It wasn't a challenge, it wasn't defiance, but something in me responded to the calm, almost predatory certainty in his voice. I wasn't afraid, but I could feel the weight of the moment pressing in on me, demanding something I hadn't fully understood before. I walked between them, my steps deliberate, not hurried. There was no hesitation in the way I moved. Not shy, not apologetic, but ready. Ready for whatever was to come next. As I passed them, I felt it. A subtle shift in the air. Hands reached out to me, not all at once, but slowly, like they'd been waiting for this moment. One hand brushed my waist, fingers grazing my skin with a touch so light it sent a shiver through me. Another hand made its way to the inside of my arm, the fingertips tracing a path that felt almost deliberate, like they were learning me, memorizing the curve of my body. The touch made something inside me tremble, and before I knew it, the fabric of my robe loosened beneath their hands, slipping down my arms like it was meant to fall. The robe fell silently to the floor around my ankles, pooling there like an afterthought, leaving me standing there, exposed, with nothing between us anymore. Behind me, someone moved. I could feel their presence, as if they were part of the air, as if the space around me had shifted with them. Lips, soft and warm, grazed the back of my neck, a sensation so delicate it made my spine shiver. My breath hitched for a moment, but I didn't pull away. The fingers on my waist shifted, moving up, sliding over my skin with a purposeful slowness that told me they were in no rush. The touch was warm, full, the fingers splayed wide, as though they wanted to feel everything, to know every inch of me. Then a mouth found mine, soft, patient, exploring, and I leaned into it without thinking, letting the connection deepen. It wasn't forceful, but it was steady, and when I didn't pull back, the kiss deepened further, their certainty growing stronger, bolder. The touches followed suit. More assured now, more curious, like they were finally getting a sense of the rhythm between us, testing the boundaries, understanding where I ended and they began. I didn't flinch. I didn't pull away. Instead, I met them halfway. I felt his hand move behind my head, fingers threading through my hair, guiding me. It wasn't harsh, it was steady, a gentle pressure urging me lower, leading me further into whatever this was, whatever we were becoming in this moment. And I followed, not because I was being forced, but because it felt right. I moved with them into the space they had created, and it felt like there was no going back now, like this was the only place I could be. They started with their shirts, pulling fabric over their heads, revealing skin, muscles, ink, and tension. I watched their hands move, slow and sure, each motion unhurried but charged. Then I stepped forward and took care of the rest. One by one, I unfastened their belts, tugged zippers open, and let the weight of their clothes fall. My hands moved smoothly, confidently. No one said a word. Without hesitation, I brought my mouth to the first man. I took my time with him, letting the moment stretch as I moved gently, building a rhythm of my own, while my hands reached out to the others, stroking, circling, holding them close. I switched, leaning into the older one next, feeling his hands settle at the back of my head, steadying me as I followed his lead, every motion deliberate. He pressed forward, just slightly, breath catching in response. The tall one waited longest, his chest rising slow and heavy as I turned toward him, my lips closed around him, and I felt his fingers brush my jaw just once, soft and unsure before tightening again. They stood around me like a storm building, heat rising in every direction, but they let me move how I wanted. Their hands tangled in my hair, traced my shoulder. Blade steadied me as I kept going. When my knees began to ache, the tattooed one bent down and lifted me with ease. He carried me to the bed, laying me across the sheets like I was something he'd been told to handle carefully, but wanted to claim. One man knelt between my legs, his mouth lowering with slow, focused intent as he explored every curve he could reach. He adjusted my hips slightly, angling me toward him like he'd done it before. His breath was warm, his pace steady, more worship than hunger. Another climbed beside me and guided himself toward my lips. I took him again, feeling his presence at my lips, my hand bracing against his hip as I matched his pace. The third stayed close to my chest, his mouth tracing the slope of me, tongue circling slowly before his teeth grazed the swell, just once, drawing a gasp I couldn't hold back. I was surrounded, taken in every direction. Then the man between my legs rose, his mouth was slick, his expression focused. He looked at me, met my eyes, he shifted forward, his body aligned with mine, hovering just above me, and for a second I forgot how to breathe. I jolted. I was already moving flat on my back, arms spread out, mouth parted, body open, one already beneath me, moving with steady rhythm, another at my mouth, and a third grazing my chest with his mouth and hands. It was too much, and not enough. Each time the man beneath me rocked forward, something fluttered in my stomach, my breath hitched, and the man at my mouth would groan softly, his fingers tightening in my hair. I could feel the rhythm between them, how they moved together, how they used me without rushing, without pausing. I moaned against him. I couldn't help it. I wasn't holding back anymore. My hands slid across thighs and skin and sheets, searching for something, anything to keep me steady. But I didn't want steady, I wanted more. And then they gave it to me. The man at my mouth pulled away. First he stroked my cheek once, then moved down between my legs, where the man between them slowly withdrew. Their eyes met over me, no words, one replaced the other. His body settled into mine with a different kind of weight, slower at first, thicker. I felt myself shift and adapt, my legs lifting instinctively to hold him there. He held me tighter than the last. His rhythm was rougher. I could hear his breath fast and uneven as his pace grew more urgent. The difference wasn't just physical, it was everything. Where the first had moved with care, this one moved with hunger. Each motion pulled a reaction from me. Each sound from his throat sent heat down my spine. The man who'd been at my chest had shifted lower, his touch tracing down to my waist, now his mouth trailing over my ribs, my stomach. I was shifting, stretching, chasing sensation. One of them stretched out on the bed, lying flat with his arms open. They helped me climb over him. I positioned myself slowly into his arms. He welcomed me with warmth and tension. His touch set me into motion as my knees found their place on either side of him. I found a rhythm, gentle motion at first, then stronger. He rose to meet me from below, his grip steady at my waist, eyes locked on mine like nothing else existed. Then I sensed another presence behind me. A second man had stepped closer, standing tall. His hand slid along my lower back, fingers gently tilting me forward. I braced myself with one hand on the man beneath me, and the other reached for balance as the third stepped up in front. He was standing on the bed right in front of me, within reach, my mouth open for him on instinct. As I took him at my lips, the man behind me moved into position. There was a pause, a breath, then a slow build of pressure as he settled behind me with careful precision. I gasped against the man in front of me, my fingers tightening around his thighs. I was held in every direction. All at once my body moved without thought, my thoughts scattered completely. I couldn't hold on to any single sensation. The motion surrounded me, rising, falling, shifting like a storm. I couldn't speak, I could barely breathe. All I could do was hold on and let it happen. And when the pressure gave way and I didn't try to hold it, it didn't feel like falling, it felt like surrender. Later I lay on my side, barely breathing. The sheets twisted around me like vines. Tomorrow I would say I do. He promised me it wouldn't be boring, and he was right. Be honest, do you think this marriage has a real chance, or was it doomed the moment she opened that door? Tell me in the comments, I'll be reading. And before you head out, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one. Thanks for watching. Thank you for staying with us. If you find it interesting and useful, please subscribe, like, and share so you don't miss the next video. Thanks.